The life cycle of stars is a fascinating journey that spans millions to billions of years depending on the star's mass. Stars are born from clouds of gas and dust, evolve through various stages, and eventually end their lives in spectacular ways. Here's an overview of the stages in a star's life cycle. 1. Stellar nebula, the birthplace of stars. Stars begin their life in vast cold clouds of gas and dust known as stellar nebulae. These regions are the cradles of star formation. Over time, gravity causes parts of the nebula to collapse, leading to the formation of dense clumps. As these clumps contract, they heat up, forming a protostar. 2. Protostar, the growing star. A protostar is the early stage of a star's life where the collapsing material from the nebula gathers and continues to heat up. During this phase, the temperature and pressure in the core of the protostar increase, but nuclear fusion has not yet begun. The protostar shines faintly due to the energy released by the gravitational contraction. 3. Main sequence star, the stable period. Once the core temperature of a protostar becomes hot enough to ignite nuclear fusion, where hydrogen atoms combine to form helium, the star enters the main sequence phase. This is the longest and most stable period in a star's life. During this time, the star radiates energy steadily, balancing the outward pressure from fusion with the inward pull of gravity. Our Sun is currently in this main sequence stage. 4. Red giant or supergiant, the expansion. As a star exhausts the hydrogen fuel in its core, nuclear fusion slows down, and the core begins to contract. This contraction heats the outer layers, causing them to expand and cool, turning the star into a red giant. If it's a low to medium mass star, or a red supergiant, if it's a high mass star. In this phase, the star fuses helium and other heavier elements in its core, while the outer layers continue to expand. 5. Planetary nebula or supernova, the final stages. For low to medium mass stars, once the core runs out of fuel, the outer layers are ejected, creating a beautiful shell of gas and dust known as a planetary nebula. The core that remains becomes a white dwarf. High-mass stars, however, end their lives in a much more dramatic fashion. When the core's nuclear fuel is completely depleted, it collapses under its own gravity, leading to a massive explosion known as a supernova. This explosion scatters the star's outer layers into space, leaving behind a neutron star, or, in the case of the most massive stars, a black hole. 6. White dwarf, neutron star, or black hole. The remnants? After the planetary nebula phase, the core of a low to medium mass star cools and dims to become a white dwarf, a dense Earth-sized remnant. Over billions of years, the white dwarf will eventually cool into a black dwarf, though the universe is not old enough for any black dwarfs to exist yet. For high-mass stars, the supernova leaves behind either a neutron star, an incredibly dense object made mostly of neutrons, or a black hole where the gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. 7. The cycle continues. The material ejected from stars in the form of planetary nebulae, supernovae, or other stellar processes enriches the surrounding space with heavier elements. This material mixes with other gas and dust in space, eventually forming new stellar nebulae, where the cycle of star formation can begin anew. In summary, the life cycle of stars is a process that begins in stellar nebulae, progresses through stages of fusion and expansion, and ends with the formation of white dwarfs, neutron stars, or black holes. This cycle not only shapes the stars themselves but also contributes to the creation of new stars and planets, continuing the cosmic dance of the universe.